problem. It's like this. I think you have two blocks, right?
Yes.
M1, I think it's 1 kilogram.
Yes.
On top of another block, 2 kilogram. And you know spring constant?
Spring constant is 100 newtons per meter.
Okay, K equals to 100 newtons per meter. Okay. And it says that the surface is frictionless, but the surface is not. So you may have some frictional force in between them.
Yes.
Okay. And you can see the whole system is in oscillation. And this one is also in oscillation. But for this object, if you analyze, what force is to maintain the oscillation? It's a spring force here.
Yes.
But for this one, it's friction because it's not directly connected to the spring. So in fact, it says that there's some friction. It's static friction.
Yes.
Okay, because there is no relevant motion here. So if you look at M1, we know that for oscillation, the fourth law should have some, for simple harmonic oscillation, the fourth law should be something like this. Okay. In fact, because the spring force satisfies the Hooke's law, so it can provide, it can make oscillation. And in this case, you should have this, right? For M1, okay, in general. So for M1, so to maintain the oscillation, the force law the force has to take this form, okay? And here, please note that it's possible for frictional force to take this form. Because think about frictional force is actually can change up to some maximum value. So it can change. So for a small displacement, it can take a small value. For large displacement, it can take a large value, right? So in general, it can sustain the oscillation. That's why this can oscillate with it. Okay. Because the frictional force can adjust itself to make the force needed. Okay. But then there is a question. We want to find the maximum amplitude, okay, it can sustain. The reason is that this one has a maximum value. Okay, Fs max equals to mu Sm. In this case, equals to mu S m1g, right? So the frictional force here has some maximum value. If the amplitude or the displacement is too large, so this quantity may be larger than this one. In that case, it will slide. You cannot have the oscillation. So if we ask what amplitude will put the upper block on the verge of slipping on the lower block. So you want to put the maximum frictional force here and calculate the corresponding amplitude. So in fact, you need to put a negative sign here. So it's mu Sm1g equals to negative k. The amplitude you are looking for. So by solving this equation, you can find out the amplitude. Okay?
Also, I was wondering if we could go over some of those class examples.